Hello, everybody. Can you hear me clear and without an echo, I hope? Becky, give me a 5x5 if you can. So everybody who's in here, it looks like I am live. That's a good thing. Oh, wow. Look at how many people are in here. Good to have you all here tonight, Thursday night. Yeah, no echo. Thanks, John. Wayne, Becky, the usuals. Thanks, guys, for coming again here tonight. Last night was a little tricky, or last Thursday was a little tricky. I want to start out by talking about what my last video on Wednesday. I had a lot of questions about, gee, Allan, have you eliminated the whole concept of getting out of, or your exit strategy ever selling your crypto? And I guess the answer to that, the clean and easy answer to that is yes, but it depends, right? It has to be, it has to fit you, and everybody has a different need, and everybody, depending on where your financial position is, your age, your employment history, depends on what you have as far as possible inheritance, what you have in collateral, or what you have in bank accounts, or what you have everywhere in your life. Because some people have massive pensions, and some people have, large Social Security coming to them and whatnot. All of those play a big factor in one's decision to sell. Do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? Well, if you don't have kids or grandkids, well, why wouldn't you just go ahead and spend it and use it and have a great life and enjoy the fruits of all your investments? Of course you would. That's what you would do. But those of you who have learned over the last few months, I guess, following this channel in particular, we've found some products out there. One that comes to mind is MSTY. I had so many skeptics when I told everybody again, I don't know, you people have been following me for probably years. I've been talking about that for a few months now, and I mentioned it again, and I must have had 10 people reply, that's impossible. You can't get 8% return on a monthly basis. Like, well, so this person commented, it's typical comment. It's social media as it is. That's impossible, and no way that can happen. And then when he got back to me, he said, oh, well, MSTY only paid 7.2. Yeah, it's just like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like, now I said average about 5 to 10 is what it's going to pay monthly. That's an amazing time to be alive. Nobody's ever seen that kind of interest rate. Nobody's ever going to guarantee that you get that. But the neat thing about that product is that if you have a really terrible month, you just don't get anything. You don't get any interest. That's a bad month. But in the 11 months, I guess, that it's been running and active, it's averaged somewhere around 7% monthly. So that's a really big deal to a lot of people who have a lot of, let's say, passive income or money on the sideline, and where you're saying to yourself, well, gosh, I've got these extra 2 homes, or I've got this will that I have, or I had a windfall of some sort, and what do I do with this $1 million laying around in the bank? And if you can make a residual income of, I don't know, on every $100,000, say $7,000 or $8,000 a month, that's game changing for people. That changes lives, and that's where we're all headed. It's not just going to be MSTY. In fact, there are other products that are coming out. So tonight's show is really going to be about, where are we going? How did we get here? How did crypto take us here? How come everybody in the world doesn't understand what you understand? And you're like, wow, I bought crypto, 10 years ago, and everybody still doesn't get it. What's happening, Allan? Well, Wall Street's getting it. Banks getting it. The Federal Reserve understands it. The BIS understood it. I don't know if you saw what they came out and said yesterday. They're scared to death of it. They don't want any part of what you have, because it's way too much clarity. It's way too much honesty. It cuts out the middleman. And that's what they've skimmed off the people their entire lives, is the middleman. That there's, they're in between you and your money. And I'm not even talking about inflation. I'm talking about taxation. I'm talking about all of it. They've been in between you and your money your whole life. And this is a complete game changer for them. And they're still trying to wrap their heads around it. But they're here. There's no way they can put it back in the bottle. This genie is out and it's running. One of my favorite things that happened was Fannie and Freddie Mac, as you know, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, I think they write 70% of the paper in the United States for real estate loans, came out and said, well, hey, you know what? You're going to be able to use your crypto for collateral for buying a home. Well, it wasn't even like a month ago or 6 months ago that if they found out you owned Bitcoin or you owned crypto, they would actually cancel the loan. Like, oh, you're a Bitcoiner? Oh, forget it. You're out. We're not even going to sell you insurance on your home. That was the criminality that was happening because of stifling innovation. And thankfully, they woke up, or I don't know what's going on, to be honest. It's a 180. The top has flipped, if you will. So, and don't get me wrong, that's not a perfect situation either, because you don't want them ending up with your coins or your wallet and your crypto. So that's yet to be played out. That's why when people ask me all the time, well, Allan, how am I going to DEX my coins? How am I going to earn my through stable coins and other networks? How am I going to go ahead and stake my coins? How am I going to wrap them and stake them? That's really what I want to talk about tonight, because it's complex, but it's really not that difficult when you understand how money works and if you understand how Wall Street's done it forever. DeFi is what you and I are investing in going forward. Digital finance is eliminating TradFi, traditional finance. Traditional finance is, again, where I started tonight, where they make their money. They churn your account. They charge you frivolous fees. Oh, wow, you overdrew on money that we don't even have, isn't even our money, but you took out more in your account. You have to pay a $25 fee on a $5 overcharge. That kind of nonsense is going away. Traditional finance you've been the victim of your entire life. You just don't know because it's the only game you know. But they understand that crypto, in particular DeFi, is coming for them because digital finance eliminates all that. It's between you and a smart contract and whatever borrower or wherever your money is being stored is the clarity of this whole thing. There is no more middleman. And the middleman that exists is there to create money with your money so that the two of you prosper. That's what a whole DEX is. I know I'm not telling you guys too much new about that. So where are we all going? Well, collateral is going to be everything, because the old system was kind of built on money that's like, what are you talking about? Okay, you're going to charge me interest on money that is inflationary. Okay, well, that doesn't even make sense already. But it's also, you're charging me money to borrow money out into time, out into the future, and it's worth less in the future than it is today. That's what inflation is, right? So you're charging me, let's use the easy number. I'm going to borrow $1 million from you. Although by the time I pay the loan off, the $1 million isn't even worth $1 million anymore, let alone the fact that you've paid interest on it all 30 years. So that whole concept of mortgage is going to change. It has to change because the entire thing is slanted against you. You're borrowing money now for out into the future, and we already understand the money in the future isn't even worth what its value is today. So all of that is to change. So what's going to be the collateral? Well, that's a really good question. We haven't figured that out yet. It's this man's opinion. I'm not alone in this. It's going to be some form of Bitcoin or some form of gold. I know gold is quite antiquated, but there's a lot of central bankers and there's a lot of the BIS and the rest of these guys. They still believe in it. Central banking believes in it. So long as they do, it will be. So long as those people stay relevant, and that's pretty much what tonight's show is about. I think they're losing their relevancy, and I don't think that they're going to exist. I'm going to say even as early as 5 to 10 years from now. They're not going to be around. They can't. It doesn't make sense. So collateral is going to be going, clearly it's collateral. By the way, let's talk about this. Collateral is already going to Bitcoin. And how do I know that? Well, let's see. Banking institutions are purchasing it to keep it on their books. Businesses are buying it to keep it on their books. Nation states are buying it to keep it on their books. Pension plans, retirement funds are all buying it right now. Of course, they're not telling the public about this. And you and I know that because we're in the business of this. But general public is like, oh, yeah, wasn't it a Ponzi scheme? Isn't that done already? Isn't that already gone by? I don't even understand why people are even talking about it still. Well, what really occurred over the last week that really solidified it in this man's mind was we have a man by the name of Charles Hoskinson. As many of you may or may not like him, creator of Cardano, creator of ADA, he actually was the guy who really spilled the beans this past week or two. And he said, what? Oh, I'm going to spend, what did he say? It was a lot of money. It was billions, I believe, or 25% of his net worth, I think is what it was. And he's going to buy Bitcoin with it. And then he was going to take a bunch of that. He was going to wrap that into Cardano. So now what's happening is these coins, these top 10 coins that have a great utility, a great use case that all of us know, are XRP, XLM, and some of these other coins. All of these are going to be wrapped with Bitcoin now. And you say, well, I don't even like Bitcoin. I don't even know why they would do that. Well, they're doing that because, like I just said, it's the collateral of the world. And it's time you understood what that means. That collateral used to be land. It used to be oil. It used to be gold. It used to be many things. But it's becoming Bitcoin. What is it? Polkadot did the same thing. ADA, Ethereum, they're all wrapping themselves in Bitcoin. I know many of you probably haven't even heard that news because you don't follow Bitcoin news that much. But this is really big, guys, because all these projects have come out 5 and 10 years ago and said, oh, we're the new Bitcoin. We're better than Bitcoin. We've got it all figured out. We're better code. We're faster. We're better utility. We're all these things that we all believe is true, and they are better technology. They're a better utility, but they're not collateral. And collateral is what makes the world work. It's just how it works, right? Like if you make furniture and you need eggs and the farmer has eggs, you trade, and the collateral is the furniture and the eggs. Not the fact that you have a good relationship with somebody or you trust them or you like them. The collateral is the physical item in which is being exchanged back and forth because it has value. It's a necessity. It has a need. It has a storage of your labor and your wealth. When you work hard, you need a stable place to put it. Anybody that's my age or older will tell you, you need to store your nuts away your whole life long because every squirrel out there understands that. When you're younger, you're like, oh, yeah, well, I'll just make more money. I'll just keep making more money. Well, when you get tired and old and the body starts breaking down or you don't feel like getting out of bed any longer, you want that storage. And clearly, fiat has not stored money at all. In fact, it's lost money. Like, the squirrel goes back and all half his his nuts are gone. They leaked out the back. Somebody ate them all. It's gone. It's a simple concept that people don't understand until they get older. And then they go, whoa, wait a minute. I've been socking away money my whole life. What are you talking about? Well, you're losing 5 to 10% inflationary every single day. And man, this drives me batty when I hear people say, people don't understand what inflation is. Okay, let me talk about inflation real quick, just so that we both are on the same page about what it is. It doesn't matter what you've been told. It doesn't matter what you think it is. This is what inflation is. Inflation is the duplication of whatever product you have. Okay? In this case, we'll use dollars. When you create more dollars, you're inflating money. When you make one Mona Lisa and then you paint another Mona Lisa, you've inflated it. That's inflation. Okay? When Trump or somebody else decides to charge or create a tariff for another nation to bring their goods to your community to sell their goods, that is not inflation. You understand? They didn't create more money. They didn't create more, Mona Lisas. The price of the product went up in price. Didn't get more inflated. Please don't get that mixed up. Everyone messes that one up, and it drives me crazy. People keep calling tariffs inflation because the price of the value of something went up higher. Does that mean it's inflated? No, it does not. If the Mona Lisa got more expensive tomorrow, are there more Mona Lisas? No, so it didn't inflate, did it? The value of it went up. This is a concept that people can't understand about Bitcoin or many of the top 10 coins. There's a limited supply. We're not inflating them. There's a little bit of inflation because there is some staking and some stuff going on, and it diminishes every 4 years, and it's in decline, and it's way less than the amount of gold that they dig out of the ground in Bitcoin's particular case. So when the price of a product goes up, that's non-inflationary. Okay, just so you understand, the only way you can create inflation is to counterfeit the item. In other words, duplicate more of it. That's inflation, period, right? So when I hear people tell me, oh yeah, well, Trump's just going to inflate the dollar away. No. The government inflated the dollar away, and they're continually inflating the dollar away, and they have the Federal Reserve to thank for that. Now, that brings me to stable coins, and stable coins now is the dollar's last chance. Now, this is a big concept, so I really want you to kind of follow me on this one. The dollar's been going for, 50, 80 years, 50 years since the gold reserve. So it's a true fiat since 71, right? 54 years, whatever that is. So that is the value of the dollar has diminished because it's not tied to gold, which has a very low inflation rate. I think it's 2% a year. Okay. They've printed and printed and printed to the point where it's fugazi money. It's absurd now. There's dollars everywhere. But the amazing thing about the dollar is it's in so much need around the world that it holds its value. It holds its value better than the other dirty shirts and laundry, as we all talk about. The beautiful part about that is here comes a stable coin. And the stable coin's telling you, well, doggone it, I don't want to deal with the Fed. So Tether comes along and says, hey, you know what? I'm going to link it to this. I'm going to peg it to the dollar. I'm going to keep it dead on with the dollar. And I'm just going to create money, which is exactly what the Fed does ever since 1913. They do a few other nefarious things, but that's their favorite trick, truly. So when they figured out how to do that, they created new money. Well, like I talk about on the show all the time, your credit card companies do that all the time. Your bank does that every single day. Your Federal Reserve does it all the time. And then you're saying, well, how do they keep that under wraps? Well, that's right. They have a big club and it's at the top and you're not in it, right? As George Carlin would say. You're not in that club. You don't know those folks. They have money before you get it. Okay, you have to work for it. They get to swing it around the table before it gets down, trickles down. Well, now somebody comes along and says, hey, I got this brilliant idea called a stable coin. And what I'm going to do is be my own Federal Reserve. And you know what? I'm going to do the right thing. And I'm going to back it with some gold. I'm going to back it with some Bitcoin. And I'm going to back it with, go ahead and with some US treasuries. Because after all, I'm duplicating the US dollar. It's just the best thing I can pull off here. And the most amazing thing about it, to me, to this man, was they actually allowed it to happen. And I was like, because you'll remember, those of you who followed this channel for a few years, back when I was in the trailer, I can remember doing shows about that and saying, they're never going to let that genie out of the bottle. They're going to go ahead and make sure and keep a wraps on Tether and keep an eye on Circle and RLUSD and all the rest of them. They're going to make sure that not everybody gets that privilege. Nope. Everybody has that privilege now. So now you're getting where I started. Wait a minute, Allan, isn't that inflationary? Yep. What does inflation do? Makes the value of things, not the value, the price of things to go higher. Okay? So everything's going to get more expensive, according to the little people in the street. Oh my God, everything got more expensive, and it's because of inflation, and it's because of this. Truly, with stable coins, you remember my definition 10 minutes ago. That's an actual accurate statement now. Now we are inflating the dollar and we're creating more of them. Tariff is not inflation. That's a higher price tag for the same good. Okay. That right there tells you that inflation is coming. That tells you that the price of things have to rise, because everybody and their brother who can fog a mirror financially is going to have their own stable coin. I mean, I'm considering one myself, like, right? Al stable coin. Why wouldn't you? Right? Because think, oh, wait, you have to be legislated. You have to do all this. No, you don't. No, you don't have to do any of that. As long as you buy those treasuries, they're going to be really happy with it. Now, when you think about what that concept means to, I don't know, the United States in particular, but what does that mean on a global market? To a global market, it's a threat. So, first of all, 16 years ago, they had to start dealing with XRP and they had to start dealing with Bitcoin and Ethereum as a threat to their financial network. Central bankers. They're like, oh, this will be easy. We'll just make those people all criminals and money launderers and Ponzi schemers. And we'll just tell the public that's who they are. That's who those folks are. But 16 years later, the whole world, including, Mr. Fink, like him or not, have come out and said, wait 1 minute. A Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. An XRP is an XRP. You can't inflate it. How are you going to do that? So what is it going to do? It's going to hold its value. I love the commercial. I can't remember it exactly, but it's like whatever it was. 10 years ago, it took 20,000 Bitcoin to buy this beautiful mansion. 5 years ago, it took whatever the number is. I can't remember. Anyway, it took 100 Bitcoin, and now it takes 5 to buy that beautiful mansion. Yet the dollar, it went that mansion went up in value and it declined in value on Bitcoin and XRP terms. The world isn't stupid. The world figured all that out. So where are we at? Where are we sitting now? When you're talking about those stable coins, it's going to create all this liquidity. It's going to create all this inflation, true inflation, because you described what inflation is. It's not actually the price go higher. It's actually you're creating more digits. You're creating more dollars, but you're creating the digits in the dollar where there's demand for them, right? Where's the demand? I want to buy more crypto. I want to get out of my Vietnamese dong, and I want to go in. I want to get into a US dollar. So the demand's going rushing into the door of the dollar. What is that going to ultimately do for the dollar? It's going to be the world's currency more so than it is today. I know everybody's telling you the exact opposite, but how can that possibly be? Are people rushing into the euro stablecoin? No. In fact, Tether couldn't even make it work in Europe. Do people want the yuan stablecoin? No. Just wrap your head around that. So is that going to create more stability or less stability in the world? More stability. This man's opinion. Where does that take you? Takes us, number go up, prices go up, the value of the things that aren't inflationary, really, the cream really starts to rise. The assets must be owned. You're going to have assets more than ever before in your entire lifetime. It's going to be more and more obvious to you. In particular, crypto assets. Because all of these stable coins are dealing directly with these assets. All things, just think about this now. The last chance for the US dollar is stable coins. It's its last chance. It either diminishes, goes away, or it's not going to fall to gold, right? That's what's always happened to fiat in the past. Unbacked fiat monetary currencies, fiat currencies throughout the history of man has always fallen to gold. It's not going to happen that way this time. I don't know. It could happen that way. I doubt it. There's too many other products, right? So it's the dollar's last hope, believe it or not. And they knew that. You could sense the panic. How did they get a bill to go through both of those houses in like a barn fire? Because nobody's buying their treasuries. But here's everybody in the world's going to buy their treasury. I did a show about this a year ago. I told everybody, and I got a lot of comments about people who thought I was out of my tree. Like the new buyer of U.S. treasuries is that guy in Vietnam now. Bangladesh. Think about it. Every human being in the world is going to be in and out of that. And they're going to be in and out of what? Whatever they want to buy. But what are they going to store their wealth in? Are they going to use a stable coin to buy gold? Maybe. They're going to probably use a stable coin to put a roof over their heads, some shelter. And that's later in the show. We're going to get into that here in a minute. But what are they really going to do? Does the stable coin even compare to XRP or Bitcoin as far as holding its value? No, because we just went over the fact that everybody in the world is going to be able to create these things out of thin air. I know you understand all that, and I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse in a lot of ways here. I just want that clarity to come to you because we've never been here before. I'm an armchair quarterback economist for my whole life long. It's really my deal. And I've never seen like this. And then to have the number one financial nation in the world just blow right through the Senate. Oh, yeah, no problem. Both parties aboard. What are the ramifications of that? Well, all of a sudden, we don't need a credit card or a bank company or the financial institutions to bless the money in which we get to create. There's going to be a lot of money creation going on, guys. What does that mean to you? If you own assets, it means number go up, is what that means. It can't be anything else. Okay. The concept of time over money, this is a very difficult conversation, but the most important thing that you have, and particularly anybody my age will tell you, is time. Time is more valuable than anything you have. So time over money, the concept of borrowing money out into time is changing right now. What's happening right now is we are looking at stable coins and crypto is changing that valuation. Because you're about to earn money with the asset in which you own on a level that real estate can't even duplicate. That's the future of where we're at. So that whole Freddie and Fannie thing is just the beginning. That's the tip of the iceberg here. Okay. So money going out, borrowing 30 years out is ridiculous. Like, okay, let's talk about like a life insurance plan or anything like that. Okay. So you bought it, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, and 10 or 20 years out from now, it's going to go ahead and pay you, I don't know, 50 grand or 100 grand. Well, if you had bought any coin in the top 10, 5 or 10 years ago, and then what's its evaluation 50 years out from now? What's its evaluation already in the last 10 years? Like astronomical numbers, right? The value of time going out in the future is no longer about charging you interest rate. It's about you earning the interest rate today on the use and the DeFi of the coin in which you own now, because people in banks are going to need it. Have you noticed this? Like, there's not a lot of new coins being created that even crack the top 10 anymore. And do you know why that is? Because Wall Street, banking, financial institutions around the world are ultra conservative. They have no interest in coin number 20. They got none, nada. So when I hear people ask me all the time, hey, Allan, what about, Fugazi coin? I'm like, well, I don't have that kind of time. Yeah, if you're 20, okay, yeah, I should look into the project, maybe. But you've got, let's look at it in a horse race analogy here. The 2-to-1 favorite, it's won the last 5 races it's been in, is Bitcoin. And then, I don't know, the second favorite horse is, the next Ethereum, XRP or whatever. Those odds are maybe not quite as good, but they pay a lot better, right? That's your analogy here. What's my risk tolerance? Okay, how old am I? Well, let's see. Of every $10 trillion, we already know $6 trillion coming into the crypto market. $6 trillion of those dollars is going directly to Bitcoin. You know that. It's got over 60% of the market share. Well, what is Wall Street like? Wall Street likes that. Conservative banking institutions, retirement funds, what do they want? They want the proven leader. They're not gamblers. They're not risk takers. So what are they looking at? They're looking at Bitcoin. Well, currently still. And what are their allocations? I don't know, 95% of their money is definitely going into Bitcoin, not coin number 5, 10, 15, or 20. They don't evaluate risk in that light. They can't. They cannot. When you've got when you have a retirement fund and you have hundreds of billions of dollars, okay, and it's returning Bitcoin's, I don't know, 50% annually. Let's just call it 25% annually. You don't need the one that produces 50%. You don't need that. You don't need the risk. Why would you take on that risk? You wouldn't. Okay. And they're not. So it's a really important fact. So the true collateral of what they're collateralizing, when I started the show, when you hear companies, their companies, let's face facts, like ADA and Cardano, they're wrapping, okay, Polkadot, they're wrapping their entire network around Bitcoin now so that they can use it in DeFi. They're using the Bitcoin as collateral, as understood wealth, as understood money, as they're not wrapping it around gold. They're not wrapping it around Ethereum. Okay. So now you have Cardano working with XRP. You have XRP working with Bitcoin. You have all of the, if you look at the top 10 coins, they're all wrapping themselves around Bitcoin. That's all you need to know right there. Okay. Why? You want that premium collateral. After that, your technology can shine. Because we already know what XRP is going to do technologically. We already know that's a winning horse when it comes to utility or what it's going to be used for as far as transactionally around the world. You know, we already know all XRP needs to do is become that stability by adopting, wrapping itself around the ultimate collateral. Remember the old days? Many of you have been around XRP long enough to remember this story. Remember the days when we said, okay, yeah, XRP is going to be wrapped by silver. And like, I can't remember, I think it was Bitcoin is going to be wrapped by gold. Or was it, no, XRP was going to be gold and XLM was going to be the silver. And they were going to be wrapped together. I believe that's the way it went. That's not what's happening now. Those coins are wrapping themselves around the other collateral. Does that mean that they're adopting Bitcoin's technology? No, it's not what it means. What it means is they're saying, hey, the whole world's using that. We better get on board that train. That's the number one winning horse. And let's go ahead and make sure we're associated with that, because we're going to get all the leftovers and all the technology is going to go. Well, they're going to come in the room, all these fat cats and all these Wall Street people, and they're going to say, okay, well, what's your affiliation with Ethereum? We don't have one. What's your affiliation with Bitcoin? We're wrapped by Bitcoin. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, tell me more about your project then. Tell me more about how you help mankind move money around the world. That's where we're at. And I'm sorry if you're listening to channels or if this sounds like nails on a chalkboard to you because you don't like Bitcoin or whatever it might be. I'm sorry about that. But I'm talking to people. I'm not guessing. I talked to some of the highest ranking people in 2 or 3 of the number one market maker in the world and number 2 brokerage house. They're not guessing. When I tell you this stuff, I'm like, whoa, man, whoa. You need to put your thinking cap on again, because I don't want you to be happy at the end of the finish line and be all excited about the victory. And then you look back and you're like, wow, man, I can't afford the number one collateral anymore. I just want you to put it in your head as an exit strategy of, if I make $1 million off XRP, I want to make sure I got a Bitcoin maybe. Take 100 grand of that and put it into a Bitcoin. That's all I'm trying to say. And I know too many XRP channels that would tell you that it's rat poison and it's the worst thing ever. And there's a giant Trojan horse and a rug pull coming your way. That's not what Wall Street's telling me. And that's why I do this show. And a lot of people give me a hard time about it. It's too bad, man. That's the reality we live in right now. Okay. And I'm not saying you should only buy Bitcoin. That'd be foolish of you, because the return, let's remember, the XRP is 4-to-1 odds as opposed to 1-to-1 odds. You're going to make the return on investment is going to be a lot better with these tech companies. And I'm going to call them that, tech coins. It's just where you're at. That's just where you're at right now. So I know I pound on that a lot. There's a guy by the name, and Becky knows who I'm talking about. There's a guy by the name of Tom Luongo. I've been listening to this stuff a couple of years. Somebody actually about 3 years ago, hey, Allan, whenever you talk about, geopolitical stuff, you remind me of Tom Luongo. Do you listen to his stuff? And I was like, who's Tom? And then I started listening to his stuff, and he's really, really sharp. He gets game theory, and he understands it. He's missing a few parts. He knows a lot about that subject that I don't know. However, I've been privileged to a lot of information that Tom doesn't. And I will tell you that I couldn't do it on air, but I would love to have a conversation with that man, because there's a lot of nuances that I know because of the documents I've read over my lifetime that could really help him out with this bigger picture. He had a comment about Bitcoin the other day. It's sad to me because I don't think he truly understands Bitcoin. I know he doesn't understand Ethereum, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't understand XRP at all. But anyway, that's my opinion of listening to the man. It doesn't matter, because, well, we all have our own angles. Doesn't matter. Does that make him wrong? No, absolutely not. He's brilliant, by the way. I love his material. So, okay, I already kind of touched on charging interest for money that is going. Why would you charge interest on money that's going worthless? Well, you need the privilege of using it today, Allan. Okay, well, why wouldn't you give them something sound of money? Well, we used to, remember? Remember we used to? We used to have money that wasn't inflated and it didn't lose, 7 to 10% annually. But now we don't have that. So now they're loaning us money, okay, and charging us ridiculous amounts of money right now. Thanks, Jay Powell. For money that is diminishing in value annually. Like, what are you giving us for this fee? So that's why we need crypto, right? The biggest part of the problem with charging interest with money is the old system, and it's failing. Fiat's failing. Fiat's failing for every reason that you know. Professor, boat tours. Gotta love them. I haven't been on it yet, but I plan on it when I get down into Florida. This winter, I'm going to be doing a trip down. Skip this winter. On the 9th for 4 days, I'm going to be in Fort Lauderdale. So if anybody's in that area, you should try and get a hold of me, and we'll do some kind of meetup. It'd be great to have a beer and a coffee or whatever it is, walk on the beach. So if you're in the Fort Lauderdale area between the 9th and the 13th, I'll be there. So get a hold of me, shoot me an email at alstaple.com. What do we got here? Okay, I wanted to get into real estate. There's a lot of people talking about real estate. Here's my opinion. I was asked this by a realtor. He and his wife are realtors, and they're followers of the show. They own a ton of XRP. They own a ton of XLM and most of the ISO coins. And they've been a follower of the show for many years. Great couple. And I've got to meet them twice now. They asked me, Allan, what's your take on where real estate's going? And I did a show about this a long time ago, and I'm just going to go over it again. So I'm just going to let you know that I don't think a lot of where real estate's going. And now I'm going to explain to you in a nutshell why. Real estate should have never been a financial product. They financed this product, and they got all of us to get into the concept. Well, if you want to avoid inflation, the best way to do that is to buy a house. Well, as that price of the valuations of the houses went up, the values didn't go up. They printed more money, which created the inflationary price of these homes, correct? If you owned a house 10 years ago and you have the same house, is it a better house than it was 10 years ago? No, we already went over what inflation is. Inflation made the number go up because they printed more money. That's the only reason why your house is more expensive today. And I gave you the example of it would have taken 30,000 Bitcoin, then it would have taken 50 Bitcoin, and now it would only take 5 Bitcoin to buy the same house in the last 10 years. But yet, in dollar terms, the price went up. That's an equation they can't deal with in the real estate market. Real estate has no answer for that. That's a losing proposition. People are losing. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I hit that couple right between the eyes with this statement. I'm sure I did. People who are buying real estate are losing wealth today. And I know it's controversial, in particular with my generation, because they're all the boomers own 3 homes and it's their retirement plan. It's all they had back then. They're getting their butt kicked according to crypto. I mean, just look at XRP in the last year. It's gone up, 5 times? Has your home gone up 5 times? No. So your home is costing you 5 times, 5x. All the dollars that you have in your house should have been in XRP. I know you need a roof. I know that, but you should be renting, or you should be like in a cheaper home. Because if you had all that equity and all that money into crypto, now you would have had to have a really strong opinion about crypto. And then everybody in the financial world laughed at everybody. Oh, you're an idiot if you sell your home to buy Bitcoin or you buy crypto with it. You're just an idiot. Oh, really? Yeah. No. Wrong. Exactly, Frankie. It's a death pledge. That's what a mortgage is. So I told this couple, I said, anybody that's buying real estate now, in particular, if it's your second home, you had better be a multimillionaire. Because if you're not, you could have been. In other words, if you had put, I don't know, like, let's say I don't know where I live, property is so expensive, but let's say you had to put $100,000 down for a deposit. Okay. If you've got to put $100,000 down out of your pocket and you buy a home, that's $100,000 you could have put into XRP, right? That's what, 50,000 coins? That thing goes up, what, I don't know, 2x? You're laughing at it. Is your house going to 2x? It can't 2x. Why can it not 2x? Because kids that are 20 years old can't afford a home now, to the point where they don't care to buy one. What are they buying? They're buying crypto. The world's buying stable coins to buy crypto. We went over that in the beginning of the show. So what now are we going to look at with real estate? Well, I don't know. I need beachfront. Okay, well, if you want to upgrade your lifestyle and you've only got a few years left, because I'm talking about what I'm talking about here is lifestyle. One of the things I've already said tonight is you can't buy time. So yeah, enjoy your life the best you can. Enjoy your life to whatever manner you decide to do that. But if you're trying to generate wealth and create wealth, you shouldn't be buying second and third homes. Again, I'm not a realtor. I'm not giving financial advice. What I am telling you is if you look back the last 16 years, that was a massive losing proposition. I tell this story because it was a friend of mine. As many of you know, I'm a yacht captain. So a friend of mine, he's not even a friend of mine, he's my brother-in-law, actually. Tim is a yacht broker. He sells yachts. So we were sitting around one day and he was telling me about this. Allan, you're into Bitcoin. This crazy old fool tried to tell my client that he should buy. Now, it was a quite expensive boat. Okay. I think it was like $10 million boat. This is 5 years ago now. He tried to buy the boat with Bitcoin. And the guy laughed at him. Tim laughed at him. Tim was laughing at me. We're sitting over there having a coffee, talking about it. He's laughing at me. I go, guy should have done it. He should have done that deal. Tim's laughing. What are you talking about? I go, how long ago was that? So I get I pull up my, coin gecko, and I'm like, okay, well, it's gone up since the time that deal happened. It went up 31 times. He could have had 31 yachts. He's like, no way. I go, yeah, here, look, here, you're telling me that was 2 years ago. Here's the story. Here's the date that happened. This is 5 years ago I'm doing this with him on a phone. And he's like, wow, he could have bought 30. It's gone up 31 times. It's gone up 20 times since then, right? That's 50 boats he could have had for the price of the one. I'm not a rocket scientist, and I've got this figured out. Is it going to go down? No. Is it going to keep going the path it's on? Yes. Why? Because they're going to keep printing money. Period. They can't stop. If they stop printing money, they will have to go to a crypto standard, monetary standard, or a gold monetary standard. Either one of those is really good for you and I. It's just going to make your coins go through the roof even more because they'll be more scarce. There'll be less liquidity around. The value of it will have to go up. It will depreciate. In other words, the value of what you own will go up annually. The value of it, as according to everybody else's ability to pay for it. Anyway, let me get on to the BIS. This is great stuff. Real estate's in big trouble, guys. That's what I think. And I'm wrong a lot. That's the one thing I'm really good at, is getting stuff wrong. However, I get the big picture right every now and then, quite often actually. But I'm wrong a lot, especially my timing isn't really good. But anyway, I don't think anybody's is. Real estate has some really big problems. It's a terrible investment. Why did they want you to get into real estate? Oh, I don't know, Allan. Why? Why did they inflate the valuations of real estate? And you could say, well, they didn't. It just happened organically. No. They were loaning people money for nothing to buy a bigger and more expensive house, which made houses go up and up and up and up and up and up. Here, I'll just hand you money to go ahead and buy a bigger house. You're good for it. You can fog a mirror. What did that do? You guys know this one. The taxes. Well, gee, we were only collecting taxes on a $200,000 house. Now they're all $1 million homes. Gee, so you never own the home. You own the Bitcoin. Do you pay taxes on it? No. No, you don't. As it goes up every year, do you pay taxes on it? No. You know what that's called? Deferring your taxes. Instead of having to pay the tax on something every single year, it knocks it down that 10 or 15, 20, 30% that you're getting haircutted every single year on your property tax. Think about it. This is where we're going. You don't have to pay tax on your ownership. Sure, when you sell it. But what have we been talking about on this channel, especially Thursday nights? We're not going to sell our crypto. What are we going to do? Brings me to one of my favorite subjects. We're going to borrow against it. Okay, this is exactly what Thursday nights were all about. Trust your exit plan. Trust being, I deal with trust and I help people out with their trust, hasn't been as popular because the price of crypto hasn't really gone up the way everybody wanted it to. And everybody thought they were going to get rich and famous last week. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. But what I'm talking about is when you have money, wealth, asset, collateral that I talk about all the time, all of a sudden you're worth $2 and $3 and $4 million on paper. How do you extract that? How do you use that? Well, rich dad, poor dad. You borrow against it. Why do you borrow against your net assets? Because you don't pay tax on them. You're borrowing your own money. When you borrow something, it's a debt obligation to you. You have to pay that debt back. So why can they can't charge you? That, my friends, is how the wealthy do it. And it's not complicated. It's not difficult. And we're going to go over that. Wait until our bags go up a little bit higher, and then we'll deal with a lot of those fun little strategies in which we'll go over. And I love them because that's really my favorite. That's really my forte, by the way. I've been doing this show almost 5 years, and I haven't even got into where my skills are yet. I know it's so funny. My son and I laugh about it. It's like, Dad, you haven't even gotten into what your favorite thing to do is with the economy. Like, I know it just hasn't been there yet because I keep thinking, we were all going to get rich yesterday. But, like I said earlier, my timing isn't great. But yeah. Okay. I want to talk about why what I just mentioned to you. Let's talk about who's always hated. I'm just going to use Bitcoin because it started the whole thing, and I know XRP started at the same time, and I get all that. Okay, I'm just going to call it crypto. Why is the BIS, the IMF, the ECB, and Davos always hated crypto? Why is that? It's always hated crypto because it creates honesty and money. They can't have that. Correct, Becky, control. They can control the way assets are purchased, used, obtained, and labor is purchased and used and obtained around the face of the globe through the generation and creating of what was known to be your storage of value, which used to be fiat. This lion came roaring into the room, Bitcoin and XRP in the top 10, came roaring into the room and did what? Took their genie right out of the bottle. You and I see this every single day, what money's doing. This is how we live our lives. You and I are totally different people. We have a different perspective on money or life than everybody you know. That's why they don't get you when you start talking to them at the barbecue. They don't understand that they're owning something that's an ice cube melting in their hand. I just explained it. I didn't do a great job. I really should do a whole show about real estate is a problem. It's not an advantage. I don't even care if their interest rates go to 0 tomorrow. Look, I'm getting off track again, but I need to cover that real estate thing. It should be shelter. Real estate is shelter for every man, woman, and child. It should not be a privilege. Sure, if you want a nicer home, yes, but having a roof over one's head should be obtainable like that. I don't care where you live in the world. That should be easily done. Easily done. An apartment, a tiny little flat, wherever. That should be a financial right of even somebody who's working to wherever, minimum wage. That should be obtainable. It should not be a privilege. They made it that way so they could get all the tax money and control, like we like to talk about. Well, now we get these cryptos come along, and the ICE, BIS and the rest of these guys, they've hated it since day one. First of all, they're basically a cabal. They are an institution of people that have been running the world the way they see it fit for generations, so long that they don't even understand any other way to see the world. That's who they are. And they see you and I as the dirt underneath their boot. I know these people. I work for these people. You're talking to somebody who's not just read about it or watched it on a YouTube channel or listened to people like Tom Luongo tell everybody in the world what he thinks the global elites are up to. I lived with them. I know their children. They're on my speed dial. I'm not guessing here, okay? I know what they do and what they think. Now, are all of them that way at the top? No, they're not. That Davos crowd is an ugly bunch. Ugly bunch. I've worked for those fools. And I can't even talk about it on my channel. And I won't. Because, after a while, you get sick and tired of black vehicles pulling up. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what I'm saying, but if it's ever happened to you, you'd know. That's why people say, wow, Allan, you should tell us more about all that. No, Allan shouldn't tell you more about that because Allan likes petting his dogs. Allan enjoys life. And your knowledge, knowing more of those people and what they do and what they're really up to is not helping your life at all. It's just not. We have the kryptonite. We have the kryptonite for their system. Do you understand that, right? These people are scrambling. Why do you think Europe came out and is totally against Bitcoin? They're totally against crypto. They're like, no way. No, we're having a Davos meeting, the G20, we're all getting together and we're going to tell everybody in the world that's baby poison. Don't even, and that bought and paid for, anyway, don't get me started on Warren Buffett. Those people are bought and paid for by the system. You know that, right? And you and I own the kryptonite that's going to come here and ruin the day because of honesty. Honesty and true labor and wealth for every man, woman, and child. And by the way, anybody that sits here and tells you, oh, we need the system, and we need legislation, and we need regulation, is centralized thinking. You've been centralized. We don't need that. You need a phone and you need a wallet. And there's 1,000 of them. We don't need Washington, D.C. telling us what we can do and when we can do it and how high we get to jump. You're just taking crypto right back into the stone ages of that mess that is fiat. And I'm sick of channels telling me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's got to be like this. We have to do this. We need to pass this regulation. No, we don't. You don't understand. You have the genie. You don't need their nonsense. Stop buying their ridiculously priced properties that you never, ever own. Ever. You're constantly paying tax the rest of your life on it. Think about that. That is slavery. Like they're kicking old people out of their homes because they can't pay their property tax that they paid the property off 50 years ago. That's criminal. I'm sorry. Homes are not an investment. And we're going to get that. And every day there's another billionaire, there's another millionaire, and there's another realtor that's going, oh, wow, wait a minute. Crypto's way more liquid. It's a Saturday afternoon. I don't have to sell my basement. In fact, I can't even sell my basement. I can just sell a little bit of my crypto on a Sunday to, float me. And my crypto's earning me money every single month. That's coming. That whole wrapped Bitcoin that I was talking about, that's what that DeFi thing, and you're going to get paid staking even with XRP. And I know we don't have staking to that degree, but we're going to get paid for your ownership of these coins. And I've been telling people about this for a long time. Banking institutions are absolutely going to get into the game to the point to where not only are they going to own the coins that you and I own, they're going to lend to Joe Citizen to buy these coins because it's the new investment opportunity of Generation Z or whatever number we're at now. Alpha, I guess. Right? Think about that. Like, you don't have to be a debt slave to your home. You can own these coins that are going to generate a monthly income, just like having a secondary property. You're not going to have renters. You're not going to have to repaint the floor. You're not going to have to worry about them ripping all the appliances out of the place. You're not going to have to do any of that. And the property values should level off. I'm not calling for a big monetary or a real estate crash. I have no idea whether or not that'll happen. But just level off. Like Japan's 30 years, their market has been flat for 30 years. I think that's where we're headed. It could be going down before that, obviously, because it's quite inflated. So what does that mean that the central bankers and the IMF and the BIS, and this is another thing that rubs me the wrong way when I hear people tell me, oh, well, the central bankers are all going to use XRP and they're going to use the system. And it's like, good for you, man. That's great. But that's called a CBDC. I'm not down with that. That's okay if you are. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I think it's further enslavement. That's this man's opinion. I know how they think about you. Remember, I know a few of these people. And honestly, you're what's under their boot. And they're got most of us by our neck. You want more of that? Then go ahead and support the ECB and all these people that are going to go ahead and tell you, oh, well, you can't do business that way. You have to do within our little funnel. If you don't do it the way we want to do technology, well, then you can't do it on our property. Who are they? None of those people that I just mentioned are even elected officials. Self-appointed, privileged is all they are. How long are you going to put up with all that? How long are you going to listen to people? How long are you going to listen to people tell you that we need those people so that you can get rich? I am telling you, man, I am sick. I cannot, I don't even want to call the people out because I love them as human beings. There's channels, in particular XRP channels and Bitcoin channels. I can't even listen to them anymore. Because they want to do the banking system identically the way the banking system has corrupted mankind for 1,000 years, and Christ was pushing tables over about, and they want to duplicate that with crypto. This man isn't down with that. I hate to be so adamant about it, but that, you know what? We have the kryptonite, we have the genie, and yet we're going to go ahead and hand him the genie. Just so who? You can get rich? Man, I'm not down with that. And I'm not a wealthy man. Do you understand the enslavement these people could create if they have a CBDC, a central banking? And I'm talking about the BIS and the IMF and the ECB. Do you know what they could do to your lives? Thankfully, those people are losing, by the way. That whole Davos crowd are getting their tails kicked. Because people are like scratching their head going, you know, I'm not down with any of that crap that you people believe in. I'm not down with it. I want freedom. I don't want even people who aren't aware are figuring out that's enslavement. I know. Everybody in crypto has all this figured out. Yeah, Dakota Smith, I brought Christ into this because it's important. Because I can tell you, those folks don't believe in that. Well, the ones I met anyway. Now, some of them did. I'm not trying to say all the billionaires in the world don't. That's not what I just said there. Because I've worked with some incredible families who believe in mankind, who are spending billions of dollars a year to fight those other families. Since I started this channel, I told you about the 2 families I've worked for. And I don't mean that I only work for 2 families. I meant in the beginning of my career, it was like I would work for anybody because I was trying to set up a resume and a portfolio, and I was trying to get myself going. And, you're young and dumb. And then as you get older, you're like, no, I'm not down with that spooky dark robe in the closet stuff. Okay. I'm not down with any of that. So I'm not going to work for these people. So I eliminated that off I'm not even going to go do the interview. Okay. Becoming good at your job affords you some privilege. Thank God that I, was able to do that. So I later said, okay, well, what's your religious belief? What do you believe in? What do you think about? What do you believe in mankind? What do you care about humanity? I was interviewing my bosses the last 15, 20 years of my career. I got up and walked off of boats. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I got up and walked out of interviews. You can't leave me. Where are you going? I'll ruin your career. I'm like, I can't work for you, man. We haven't agreed on anything. I've been being interviewed by you for 20 minutes. And we haven't agreed on one stinking thing. And you want me to work for you? No, I don't need your job that bad. There's too many other people out there that want to hire good people. So I don't know why I got onto that ramble, but I can tell you that there are great people out there, because the last probably 10 bosses I worked for, incredible families, incredible human beings. And what they do for mankind would blow your mind. Okay. Blow your mind. Talking about creating entire towns and villages to where if you have stage 4 cancer, you come and you live there for free until you're healed and you go home. Those kind of people. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. See, you don't hear about those. People on YouTube don't talk about those kind of things about the wealthy. They only talk poorly, and they only talk about jealousy, and they only talk about envy, and they only envy them because they're wealthy. And they think the answer to every mankind's problem or desire in life comes within the equation of money. No, that's called spiritually empty. Now I'm getting on my high horse here. But if you equate good people or privileged people by how much money they have, you're either young or you haven't been around, you haven't been observant in your years on this planet. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so how do I know all this is happening? Well, I talked about earlier, there's a company by Citadel that I deal with, and there's a company by the Goldman Sachs representation. All of those people understand 2 things. They understand that, number one, AI is coming. Whether you like AI or not, it's coming. What does AI do? What does crypto and AI bring to the world more than anything else? Honesty. And you say, oh, AI, no, it could be corrupted. It could be corrupted to turn it their way. Yeah, but it's not hard to create your own. Software creates software now. Code creates code. So you could go, okay, well, where's the problem? Show us the problem in this equation of government overspending AI. Boom. Politicians will be the first word on the list. And then bankers will be, I don't know, bankers will probably be above the politicians. All of that is coming because of the lack of control from the middle. You and I have been controlled from the middle the whole time. I know you know that, but that concept is really important for you to ingrain. You have only understood the middleman. You don't understand that you're a pawn in that middleman scheme and the way you think. Trust me, I screw that up hourly. I'm like, oh, wow, no, we can't do that because of this. And then when you step back and you think about it and you're like, oh, man, I'm enslaved in this. It's so ingrained in my thought process. I think the only way that we can run a government or a country or a county or a city or a state is with that centralization. We all need to understand decentralization to a higher level. Don't talk about it, live it. That's what I'm doing here. That's why I started this channel. I started this channel because I have some experience in life, number one. Number two, I have a lot of hope and I have a lot of dreams for mankind. That's why this man sticks his face in front of this camera 4 times a week. And I look forward to it. And I don't care if there's one person watching or 5,000 people watching. Not why I'm doing it. Because that one person, beautiful thing. I was in Vegas. Jason, I love you, brother. Jason was my very first commenter. He still watches my stuff. I don't know if that speaks highly of Jason or not. You're going to have to make your own opinion about that one. But in meeting the person that I used to, oh my God, somebody actually chatted, watched one of my videos and left a comment. Like, brilliant. And it's just so much fun. You guys have really changed my life. And I can't wait to meet you all. And that's why I hope that I never get hundreds of thousands of subscribers, because of that way I could never meet you all. That would be almost impossible. And let's keep it a tighter net group than that. Okay. So you can push like, but don't tell everybody. Okay. So now I want to conclude with this. I know it's getting kind of long in the tooth here. For me, I always say, God, that's terrible. One of the most important things for me that really resonates lately is geopolitical. Okay. So I'm going to talk 2 different subjects about what geopolitical really means. Number one, and I know this is going to bother a lot of traders, but remember, I was a Forex trader for well over a decade. Okay. I understand charts. I understand technical analysis. I understand momentum and movement and liquidity in markets. I do. I've traded Forex for years. The technical analysis in crypto is going away. Now, it will return again when we level off. Okay, when it is fully adopted, it will return again. But right now, fundamental news is everything with crypto. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's everything. Okay. So your technical analysis people that are telling you and teaching you what's going to happen, and okay, well, I believe it because this techno, it's this next Fibonacci level, and we're going to be at this price, and next, no, throw it all out. Not all of it. I mean, there's some good, you can hope, and you can go into percentages, and 60% more likely than not. And that, there are percentages. We're not following it. We're just not following that. Just so you know. I mean, not to any degree. We're really reactive right now. Okay. We are really reactive to geopolitical news. I wanted to get that out. Because it's so important. A lot of people think TA is everything. It's not. Okay. Geopolitically, this turmoil, I know this sounds crazy. but you're going to love this one. You're going to love where I'm going with this. This turmoil, this geopolitical soup, I'm going to just call it that somebody keeps stirring it up, and it's a real mess. And it's always been that way, but it seems like it gets a lot more media attention, and it triggers a lot more people than it ever used to. And it is on the tip of the tongue of everyone. I don't care. I know it's all a lie. I know it's all theater, and I know it's all a mess. That's what this man knows, and that's what wisdom brings a guy. But I will say this, it does affect crypto, and it doesn't affect crypto in the way that you think I'm about to say. This one of the greatest advantages that we have with the geopolitical turmoil of the planet in which we live on today is prosperity. And now let me reflect on that just a little bit. All this mess and all this turmoil and all this uncertainty, markets don't like it at all. Wall Street does not like that. Why do you think gold is going up? Political unrest. People aren't sure. What do I do? What's the sure thing? How do I make sure that I'm going to be okay? Well, gold's probably worked for, 5,000 years. I'm going to go there. People understand that. That's why this man talks about the top 10 coins. My two favorite, and it's no surprise to anybody on this channel, is Bitcoin and XRP. I think, one, because of its insane utility, XRP, and number two, Bitcoin, because of its collateral, I think Bitcoin is the new gold. But I like precious metals too. I like all three of those. Those are my three favorite investments, by the way. I know it doesn't come to any surprise to anybody on this channel. But political unrest is going to be the greatest motivator for people to find calm. How do you find a port in a storm? Where's the eye of the hurricane? Where's the place I can put my stuff where it's less affected? And it was in my video last week, I talked about, I think Bitcoin, we bombed a nuclear power plant. We being they did. We did, and I didn't. I certainly wouldn't have signed off on that, but they bombed up a nuclear power plant. I think Bitcoin went down $7,000. XRP dropped 30 cents. That's nothing. That's a port. That's what's called a port in the storm. That's something that says, oh, wow, it shook that off. That wasn't a problem at all. You know what that means to people who are in investors, the people who are in hedge funds, who have to make the hard decisions as to what collateral I buy next. Am I going to buy mortgage-backed securities? No. I just went over why you're not going to do that. Nobody knows where the real estate market's going to go. And look at the interest rates. What are they going to do? They're going to buy some sure stuff. What's sure? Gold. Okay. GLD contracts. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to buy me some ETFs. In particular, because those ETFs are Bitcoin. We don't have them for XRP yet. They're going to buy those because they're rock solid. Rock solid. It barely cracked under $100,000. And every corporation that's going to be worth their weight is going to be buying Bitcoin to put it on their books. I know. I know how crazy, how far we've come. Why is that happening today faster than it's ever happened before? This man was in Las Vegas at the Bitcoin show, and the Bitcoin show was full of corporations. Corporations everywhere. And I was like, wow, look at this. What are you guys doing here? Oh, I wouldn't get out of bed without Bitcoin. You kidding me? What else am I going to buy? That's another thing too. When you understand that about billionaires, they got 15 Rolexes. They got 2 yachts. They got jets. What are they going to buy? They got 5 homes. What are they going to buy? They're going to be at the golf course and go, oh, how many Bitcoin do you got? Well, I got 5. That's it? You only have 5 Bitcoin. You better catch up, pal. That's how they play. Well, I got a couple $1 million worth of XRP. Well, you better get some more, pal. That's here now. We're there now. That's the asset you own. Every country club in America, they're not talking about Rolexes. They all got 15 of them, like I said. They're talking about crypto. Do you think real estate is on their mind? No. Yeah, I'll tell you the real estate that is going to go somewhere is resort property, obviously, because people want to go have fun. That's going to always do well. So geopolitically, Wall Street doesn't like unsurety. They want to know. That's stocks. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that report. Apple is in big trouble. And I go, well, why would Apple be in trouble? Everybody likes Apple products. I don't, but I mean, a lot of people like Apple products. They're in trouble because they're not ahead of the curve. They're not a great investment. There's a million robots that are going to make probably 10 times better phones within 5 years. They're out. Their horizon doesn't look great. Is that robot going to make an XRP? No. Is it going to make a Bitcoin? Nope. Can't do that. Can't do that either, can it? It can make a Rolex. It can make a yacht. Can't make that Bitcoin. Scarcity is coming to what you own. And banking institutions are levering against it. And they're telling you that if you hold that and you hang on to that and you stabilize our network, okay, you'll be compensated for that. That's coming to us all. It's here now. MSTY. I'm just telling you, people, MSTY is paying everybody 8% a month. Yeah, it's Bitcoin affiliated, whatever. I mean, if you can't get over that, that's too bad. But the bottom line is, let me get into that real quick because little disclaimer. Not everybody should be buying MSTY. Please, that's not what this man's teaching at all. What I'm saying is, if you've got $1 million laying around, yeah, you might want to put 100 G's in that. Okay, it might be a pretty damn good investment because it's going to pay you $7,000 or $8,000 a month, whether you get out of bed or not. That's probably going to cover, I don't know, your expenses, I would gather. Depending on who you are and where you live. But that makes a lot of sense. But keeping the other $900,000 in the other coins is a better idea because when that coin doubles, you're not going to get double off the MSTY. I hope you understand how that works. Okay. Okay. I'm going to get to a couple of questions here. So my new exit plan, obviously, is crypto. Hanging on to it, having it work for you. And the avenues of doing that, in particular with Bitcoin, are here. Ethereum, kind of here. Solana, not yet. XRP, not yet. Don't rush this, okay? Because this is when it gets tricky. I don't want to see everybody lose their coins like we did 2 and 3 years ago. Let's not do that, okay? Let's make sure we get the right thing and it all happens in an orderly manner. So I really wanted to talk about that geopolitical thing because a lot of people think that that's a negative against crypto. No, it's not. That's a strengthening agent. The more turmoil and the crazier the world gets, the more you're going to want something secure and safe and steady. And you and I know there's nothing more safe and steady and secure than crypto. I mean, unless you got gold in the ground and you're standing over it with a gun, that's pretty safe. Well, unless somebody has a bigger gun. Let's not go there. Okay. So I was going to ask, I answer, I saw 2 great questions, but it was an hour ago. And I'm more likely to discuss crypto questions, but it was a monetary question. Okay, Frankie Sanchez, man, I love you in the chat, brother. Well done. All of you in the chat, thank you so much. Dakota Smith, love you too, brother. Becky, as always, Atlantic. John Foster, I see you guys. I see you all there tonight. Man, look at the crowd we had here tonight. I love it. When people try to tell you that you're crazy because you own something that's revolutionary, just remember this. Don't look down on them. Don't feel sorry for them. You can if you want. Who am I to tell you what to do or think? But remember that it's where they're at in life. And innovators are only about 5 to 10% of the population. Okay? So if you're an innovator and you think in innovation terms and you see where the ball's going, only 5 or 10% of our population is that way. So and I want to talk about this in a terms that you'll understand here. The other 90% aren't. They're followers, mainly. People go along to get along. People just do the right thing, stay in the lane, and, don't speak up and speak when you're spoken to and do that whole thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I'm not bagging on those people whatsoever. But you're somebody who believes in tomorrow. You see tomorrow's brightness, and you can see where this is going for mankind. Hedge funds, retirement funds, and banking institutions, the people who have the real money, which is, remember, fake and cheap and easy for them to obtain. Okay? I know. It's hard for you to wrap your head around that. But those quadrillions of dollars are headed towards our assets. Remember, the booms that we've had, okay, the 13 was a boom, 17, I went through that one, 21 was a boom. Okay, those bull markets were spurred on by the 10% of the population. The people that could see innovation, people that could see, oh, well, this crypto thing's kind of real. I'm going to make some money on it. They're not in this market right now. Those 10%, they got burned or they sold it. Still beyond me why somebody would buy something for 50 cents and sell it at 25. But that's what all of those people did. So the public got burned. The only people that are still in this are you and I, the innovators. Okay? But who's coming right behind us? Financial institutions. And they're bringing the big stack. And they're laying it down right now. They're buying $1 billion a day of Bitcoin. Are you people aware of that? $1 billion. They're going to break last year's record. They're just laying wads of cash on the table and saying, okay, I want in. There's this FOMO happening right now with Bitcoin. And it reminds me of 17. Only in 17, it was the truck driver, the UPS guy going, hey, man, I bought some of that Cardano last week. And this time it's hedge funds. And they got mega stack. And that tells me that you and I are that 10% that are going to get really fortunate, because big sheeple financial institutions can't think like that. They have to find returns. They have to find yield for their clients. It's their fiduciary duty. They have to find returns, and they're searching the world. And like I said earlier, they're not buying Rolexes. They're buying crypto, and they're buying the top 5. And it's happening now. And an ETF is very big for XRP, very big. Now, next week, I'm going to talk about why I can't even get into next week. I may not have a show next Thursday night. I know that sounds terrible. I know I didn't have one last week, but the 4th of July, I'm a yacht captain. So I'm going to be on anchor, and I'm going to be on the boat, and I've got to figure out how good the internet is. And there's nothing worse than watching the internet fade in and out. Nobody needs that. So next week's show, I'm not sure I'm going to do. But I want you to really think about that. Know what you own. You're going to get paid to own it now. And the people like the BIS and the ECB and all those people were dreading this day. They're dreading the day that is currently now when I forget the name of the title of the person's position, but they control Freddie and Fannie Mae. And they're saying you can use crypto as collateral. Those people didn't want that. That Davos crowd did not want this day to occur. And it's happening in our lifetimes now. And you're saying, I know, Allan, but my price is only $2. How come XRP isn't $20? And I don't get it. And I don't understand what's happening. I'm telling you, financial institutions are buying Bitcoin right now. I mean, this is just a way they're going with the sure thing right now, because they have to. They're FOMOing in. And I know even Bitcoin isn't going up all that much. But trust me, it's going to. And then it's going to trickle down to the altcoins, in particular, this man's opinion, top 10 coins. And when that happens, you're going to have returns that I don't want you to go, oh, wow, it used to be $2, now it's $20. I'm going to buy a Lambo. No, what I want you to do is say, okay, now the ETF is here for XRP, and now I have, instead of my portfolio being worth 100,000, it's worth 2 million. And then I can make 2 and 3 and 5% on that every single month. And you're going to make a couple $100,000 a year, and you're going to live happily ever after, and you're going to enjoy life. And those are the products coming to all of us, to a wallet and lifetime near you, coming to all of us. And it's here now. And that's why they're wrapping. Currently, they're forced. Okay, Ethereum, ADA, Polkadot, and all those coins that I was talking about earlier are wrapping their coins with Bitcoin, because that's how they have to do it right now. But here coming real soon, it's going to be wrapped ADA and XRP or whichever. And those coins are going to pay you to own them because of the arbitrage, because of liquidity, because they're going to need that liquidity for the DeFi that is here already. It's just not with XRP coin yet. Okay. I hope you guys got something from all that tonight. This is honestly my favorite. This is my favorite show. I get to study crypto all week long, and I really get to understand where we're at. And then I get to come and share it with everybody. And this is just this man's opinion. And my lifetime has brought me to understand what's coming. That's really my forte, is what's going to happen next? How's it going to happen? Who's coming into the circle? Why would it go that way instead of this way? Well, it's because that's where we're at. That's what's going to happen. And Hoofty, I love you too, brother. Thanks, guys, for being here. I know your time is precious, and I love that you spent it with me, because it means a lot to this old guy. And I can't wait to meet you all in person. And I am going to do something really fun in Florida this winter. And I hope all of you that can afford to take some time, a few days to come out and come hang out with myself. I'm going to have many other content providers, whatever you want to call these people on YouTube. They're with us, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do it. Just meeting people is my favorite thing in the world, guys. It truly is. I was meant to be a yacht captain because they bring all those guests aboard and they become my best friends. And that's really what I love about all of it, about life is people. And you mean a lot to me. And, oh, I almost forgot. My dog had puppies. They're black mouth curs. I have 9 pups. If you have property and you know what a black mouth cur is, or you understand what there's one, right? I always mess this up. There's one, that's what one looks like right there. And they're incredible dogs, very loving. And they have different looks than that some of them are darker and some of them are lighter. But these pups come from a great home, and they are going to be incredible dogs. There won't be any charge or anything like that. I just wanted to go to a good home. We are one of the only breeders west of Texas that I'm aware of. They are quite rare dogs, unless you live in the South, and then they're pretty common everyday dogs. But most people around don't know what they are. Please don't get one of these dogs if you're borderline thinking about a dog, because these dogs are a lot of work. But they're incredible learners. They're incredible loving dogs. These dogs were actually, Old Yeller was a black mouth cur, was not a golden retriever or a lab in the movie or anything. It was a black mouth cur, was Old Yeller. So anyway, with that, I've rambled on plenty long enough, and I just want you to know that I love you guys. I don't think I'll be doing a show Thursday night. If I do, it'll probably be something really simple. I may have to do it on my phone or whatever, but know that I appreciate you all, and I will be back. If not that Thursday, the Thursday after, I'm going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I'll be doing something from on the beach, or from wherever we're going to be having that convention that we're going to do. Looks like either January or March. We're not sure, somewhere in that time frame. So yes, please, everybody, have a safe 4th of July. And that will be my anniversary again of not drinking for, I don't know, 8-9 years now, something like that. So something my wife and I look forward to every year. Thank you all. Have a blessed evening. And I am going to get out of here. And know that I love you all very much. Be well.